Hello students, welcome back to YSR Academy in another new module of the chapter Origin and Evolution of Life. In the previous module, we discussed about the concepts related to the origin of life on Earth, different theories for the origin of life on Earth. We also talked about the proof of the chemical evolution which could have been occurred through the setup which was did by Urey and Miller. And now we're proceeding forward to understand the next topic of this chapter. अभी आज अपने को डिस्कस करना है जीन पूल. We have to talk about genetic equilibrium. Then we have to talk about Hardy-Weinberg principle, factors affecting and Hardy-Weinberg's principle. Okay, students. So this is what we have to discuss today. So just recall from a chapter of inheritance and variation. आपको ये चीज पता है कि भाई जो P का कलर रहता है वो मल्टीपल वेरिएबल हो सकता है. Either it can be say yellow color, either it can be say green color. एक ही P के दो कलर्स हो सकते हैं. It can be different, it can be variation. इसी को आप alleles बोलते हो, isn't it? So organisms have variation due to presence of alleles. So genes coding for yellow peas and green peas exist in the form of two different alleles or the variants. So therefore yellow and green color are two main different variations found in the P color. So Darwin जब बोला था survival to the fittest के concept में, given the chance both of these P colors will survive and ये दोनों के दोनों are categorized as alleles. Okay, so when we talk about alleles, so when we talk about the word allele, we should understand कि भाई alleles are two or more alternative forms of the gene. जो कि देखो अभी यहाँ पे कलर के रिस्पेक्ट में उन्होंने बात किया है, ये जो अपन ने ऑलरेडी कवर किया था, 7 pairs of contrasting characters as stated by Mendel, different kinds of P, color of the P shape है, flower का कलर है, pod का shape है, pod का कलर है, प्लांट का हाइट है एंड पॉड का पोजीशन है. सो ये सारे 7 pairs of contrasting characters भी डिस्कस किए थे. Now what exactly students do you mean by the word gene pool? Gene pool is like collection of the genes present in a given population. ठीक है, जितना भी पॉपुलेशन है उसके अंदर के जो भी कंट्रीब्यूटिंग जीन्स रहेंगे उनका जब आप ग्रुप बना देंगे तो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज जीन पूल. सो व्हेन वी डिफाइन इट्स कलेक्शन ऑफ डिफरेंट जीन्स एंड देयर alleles in a population is termed as gene pool. The gene pool consists of all the alleles in an individual making up a population. तो जितने भी alleles है, जितने भी variations आपको देखने को मिल रहे हैं, सबको जब आप जोड़ देते हो तो then you will have something called as gene pool. Gene pool of Drosophila melanogaster. Drosophila melanogaster is called as fruit fly. Will have genes and its alleles for the body color, eye color and wing size. So अलग अलग टाइप का ये मॉर्गन्स का एक्सपेरिमेंट था जहाँ पे उसने इसको लिंकेज के थ्रू एक्सप्लेन किया था, जो हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया था इनहेरिटेंस एंड वेरिएशन के अंदर. सो इट इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ द जीन पूल. ठीक है, sheep have black or white wool. Okay, this color variation is due to the alleles of the gene coding for the wool color. वुल कलर डिपेंड्स कि व्हाइट वुल है या फिर ब्लैक है. व्हाइट रहेगा तो डोमिनेंट रहेगा तो व्हाइट शीप बनेगा. ब्लैक वुल है रिसेसिव रहेगा तो ब्लैक एक्सप्रेस होगा, ब्लैक शीप बनेगा. सो दिस इज नथिंग बट जीन पूल. जो भी कैरेक्टर्स आपको आपके अलील में मिलेंगे उसको सम अप कर दीजिए तो आपको वो जीन पूल मिलने वाला है. पॉसिबल फिनोटाइप्स आइदर इट कैन बी व्हाइट, इट कैन स्टिल बी हेटेरोजाइगस व्हाइट और इट कैन बी ब्लैक. ये सब चीजें आपने ऑलरेडी देखी है. मान लो ना जीन पूल है तो अभी मान लो आपके पास 500 शीप्स है, उसमें से homozygous dominant can be 320. Okay, then you have heterozygous dominant as 160, homozygous recessive as 20. When you calculate the frequency of the genotype, you'll get the answer as 0.64 for homozygous dominant, 0.32 for heterozygous dominant and 0.04 for the homozygous recessive. Now, during the first generation, since the sheep are diploid organisms, each sheep will have two alleles for the wool color. Thus, a population of 500 sheep will have total of 1000 alleles because diploidy state है. So 500 अलग अलग टाइप के आपके पास अगर sheep मिलते हैं तो उनके पास diploid state के कारण 1000 alleles आपको देखने को मिल सकते हैं. Total genes and their alleles in a population will remain constant no matter what happens. कितना भी number of genes आपके पास रहने दीजिए, in a population in a given time frame it will always remain constant. ठीक है, तो in order to prove that, the theory of genetic equilibrium was stated by scientists Hardy and Weinberg. तो ये Hardy and Weinberg ने अपना एक theory दिया and this theory is called as Hardy-Weinberg's theory. The Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium is a principle stating that genetic variations in the population will remain constant from one generation to other in absence of disturbing factors. अगर by chance कोई external factors नहीं है जो affect कर सकते हैं तो फिर द जेनेटिक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन और द जेनेटिक इक्विलिब्रियम इन अ गिवन पॉपुलेशन विल रिमेन कांस्टेंट नो मैटर व्हाट। ठीक है, इट इज शोन बाय द रेशियो ऑफ p प्लस q द होल स्क्वायर विच इज इक्वल टू p square plus 2pq plus q square which is equal to 1, where p square is a frequency of a homozygous dominant genotype, q square is a frequency of homozygous recessive genotype and 2pq is a frequency of a heterozygous genotype। ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे अगर आप रेशियो फाइंड आउट करेंगे, सेम शीप का एग्जांपल है, तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि भाई कैपिटल W का अलील फ्रीक्वेंसी 0.8, स्मॉल w का अलील फ्रीक्वेंसी 0.2। इसका कैलकुलेशंस यू डोंट हैव इट इन academics or the board level, so we're not going into the details of it, but when you calculate it you'll find and understand that the ratios would remain same। So over the time you calculate, फाइनल आपको अगर आंसर आता है, that answer will be always be equal to 1। हर बार genetic equilibrium will remain stable and constant for a very long period of time अगर बाहर के external factors disturb करने नहीं है तो। ठीक है, frequency of alleles are same for both the generations। If these frequencies for other generations are also calculated, it will also remain same। ठीक है, thus a population is in genetic equilibrium, that is total genes and their alleles in a population will remain constant। जितना भी total number of genes है, total number of alleles है in a given population, it will remain constant। ठीक है, the theory about genetic equilibrium was stated by Hardy and Weinberg in the year 1908। Hardy and Weinberg independently published this theory। ठीक है, अगर बाय चांस कुछ डिस्टर्बेंस क्रिएट होता है हार्डी वाइन्सबर्ग इक्विलिब्रियम में, then there can be changes in the frequency of the alleles। okay, अगर बाय चांस कोई भी एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स हो, एक्सटर्नल कंडीशंस हो, अगर बाय चांस कुछ भी ऐसे हो जाता है जिसके कारण अगर बाय चांस अलील का फ्रीक्वेंसी चेंज हो जाएगा, तो उस केस के अंदर आपको ये पता चलेगा कि हार्डी वाइन्सबर्ग का इक्विलिब्रियम थोड़ा सा डिस्टर्ब हो चुका है, एज यू कैन सी। okay, so now what are the factors which can really impact the Hardy-Weinberg's equilibrium? Number one is mutation, second is genetic recombination, third is gene flow, fourth is genetic drift, and fifth is natural selection। So talking about mutation in general, mutation is nothing but a change in the nucleotide sequence of a genetic material due to errors in the DNA। DNA का एक बेस सीक्वेंस है, मान लो ये नॉर्मल बेस सीक्वेंस है AGTTC। अगर नॉर्मल सीक्वेंस है, अगर थोड़ा सा भी म्यूटेशन अगर हो जाता है, अगर T के जगह A होना चाहिए, वहां पे T के जगह G हो गया, उसको आप क्या बोलेंगे? म्यूटेशन। सो म्यूटेशन कैन लीड टू चेंज इन द जीन एंड द अलील फ्रीक्वेंसी। ठीक है, consider a group of red beetles given living in green bushes। okay, evolution can be studied through the concept of mutation in these beetle groups। beetle है, ठीक है, due to mutations in the gene responsible for body size, few individuals having larger size appear to be in the population। जिनका साइज थोड़ा बड़ा था वो आपको पॉपुलेशन में दिख रहे हैं। these new larger beetles had an advantage, they could feed on other small insects and hence had a higher capacity to survive। ज्यादा कैपेसिटी था सर्वाइवल का, इसकी वजह से ऐसा पता चला कि भाई ये इनका पॉपुलेशन ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम धीरे धीरे बढ़ते गया। समझ में आ रहा है? सो देयरफॉर व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट दिस कैन बी अ वेरी गुड एग्जांपल ऑफ म्यूटेशन। ठीक है, occurrence of new combination of alleles due to sexual reproduction है genetic recombination, जिसको आप क्रॉसिंग ओवर भी कहते हो। सो क्रॉसिंग ओवर में आप जेनेटिक मटेरियल को एक्सचेंज करते हो होमोलोगस क्रोमोसोम्स के बीच में, वो दैट एक्सचेंज ऑफ जेनेटिक मटेरियल can occur due to the process of crossing over and also due to independent assortment। independent assortment को हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया था डार्विन में, मेंडल में लॉ ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंट असॉर्टमेंट, वी एक्सप्लेन्ड एंड अंडरस्टूड इट थ्रू डाइहाइब्रिड क्रॉस। So during independent assortment, each cell receives a different variant of a chromatid। when these gametes fuse during fertilization, all the four zygotes will have different allele combination। so जब भी ये separate होते हैं, चारों के चारों जो आपके पास जो gametes दिख रहे हैं आपको, चारों के चारों gametes जो रहेंगे, वो चारों के चारों gametes will be identical, they will be different from one another। so they'll have a different allele composition, different allele combination। In a colony of beetles, few beetles had only small spots while other beetles have large spots। अगर आप देखेंगे तो छोटे छोटे धब्बों वाला एक बीटल था, एक बड़े बड़े स्पॉट्स वाला बीटल था। When these two types of beetle undergo sexual reproduction, they'll have an offspring which would contain both। okay, they will have a black spot which is darker, which is more denser black, and then there will be beetle which on the surface of it will also have small sized spots as well। so it will show hybrid of both the characters। ठीक है, Now next we're talking about is gene flow, students. Gene flow क्या होता है? Migration of the genes due to migration of few individuals in a population. अगर population में कोई changes आता है, यहाँ से वहाँ migration आ जाता है, या कोई नया organism या उसका genetic component कोई और population से अपने वाले population में आता है, तो there is some gene flow which is occurring. For example, along with the red beetles, few blue beetles migrate to a new area and start living. तो आपके पास रेड थे, अभी ब्लू भी आ गए और दोनों एक साथ रहने लगे. Now, availability of the food and other suitable conditions cause these blue beetles to flourish in the new environment. तो उनके पास एक greater evolutionary advantage था blue beetles, तो blue beetles काफी अच्छे तरीके से survive कर गए. Eventually, blue and red beetles met, दोनों एक reproduction हुआ. This adds new alleles of the blue beetle to the population of the red beetles. Because इन दोनों का reproduction हुआ, blue beetles के कुछ genetic components got added in the red beetles. When the migration of a section of a population due to another place and the population occurs, gene frequencies change in the original as well as the new population. जो नया population आएगा उसके अंदर भी genetic changes आपको देखने को मिलेंगे, साथ ही साथ जो existing population है उसके अंदर भी आपको changes देखने को मिल सकते हैं. Which means कि ये आपका Hardy-Weinberg का equilibrium को disturb कर सकता है. ठीक है, imagine a blue and a red beetle coexisted. ठीक है, generations and generations. On a certain day, the elephant comes by and stamps on the bushes where beetles lived. This kills most of the beetles. Okay, by chance, few beetles that survived are mostly blue beetles. Okay, after some generations, the beetle population expands again. But this population will mostly have the blue beetles. I hope you're understanding, because red beetle मर गए हैं due to elephant का stamping. Thus, allele frequency of the red beetles will be reduced in the population. This phenomena is also called as bottleneck effect, and it is under the concept of genetic drift. Genetic drift मतलब क्या? There is some change in the frequencies of the gene or the allele. Allele या genetic changes या genetic frequencies में कुछ तो changes आ रहा है, fluctuation हो रहा है. That is called a genetic drift. जो कि it can be a very chance event. It is not at all a compulsive event. It's an evolutionary setback for certain organisms कि it can occur by chance, and अगर वो हुआ तो वहां से genetic components पूरी तरीके से disturb हो सकते हैं. Drastic reduction in the population size due to natural disasters is called as bottleneck effect. Naturally disaster कुछ हो गया, natural occurring है, but आपने anticipate या predict नहीं किया था. It is said to be a bottleneck because it is similar to shaking out a few marbles through a bottleneck of a bottle filled with marbles of different colors. For example, अगर मान लो कि अभी आपके पास एक ओरिजिनल पॉपुलेशन है, आपने उसको अच्छे से मिक्स किया और आपने वो बॉटल को उल्टा कर दिया. उल्टा करने के बाद आपको ये रियलाइज हुआ कि भाई इसके अंदर रेड का पॉपुलेशन काफी ज्यादा आ गया ऑरेंज की कंपैरिजन में. ठीक है, तो इसका मतलब जब नया पॉपुलेशन बनेगा उसके अंदर हायर नंबर विल बी ऑफ रेड. बट इसका मतलब ये कभी नहीं था कि वहां पे रेड ज्यादा था. देखिए जरा, वहां पे आपको नोटिस करेंगे ऑरेंज कलर काफी ज्यादा आपको देखने को मिल रहा है, बट उधर आपको रेड कलर काफी ज्यादा देखने को मिल रहा है. इसी चीज को आप बोलते हो बॉटलनेक इफेक्ट, जो कि जेनेटिक लेवल पे या अलील फ्रीक्वेंसी को काफी ज्यादा फ्लक्चुएट कर देता है. ठीक है, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट जेनेटिक ड्रिफ्ट वी आल्सो नीड टू टॉक अबाउट फाउंडर्स इफेक्ट. Reduction in genetic variation when a small subset of a population establishes a new colony with few individuals in a population. जब individual कुछ एक major population था, उस major population के अंदर से उन्होंने कुछ percentage of organisms चले गए और उन्होंने अपना एक internal नया population बना दिया, तो such concept is founder's effect. The beetle colony contained both red and blue beetles. Suppose due to heavy rain, water level raised around some island and some part of the island got submerged under the water. Island डूब गया बारिश की वजह से. Heavy rain continued over many generations until a new small region of island got separated from the main region and became a separate island. इतना बारिश हो गया कि एक island के टुकड़े दो टुकड़ों में हो गए और दोनों अलग अलग हो गए. By chance, the beetle which survived on this very small region will be mostly blue. Assume करेंगे. Both the population continued growing over generations. Since most of the beetles on the new island were of blue color, new population will be very very different from old. Old population में आपको red color के beetles काफी ज्यादा मिल रहे थे, but because अभी वो लोग separate हो गए, blue का population अभी उस island पे बढ़ने लगेगा. ठीक है, the heavy rain caused emergence of new population having a different allele frequency. ठीक है, the drifted population is referred to as founders, something like this. इन्होंने अपना एक इंडिविजुअल ग्रुप बना दिया, उन्होंने अपना पॉपुलेशन बढ़ा दिया, तो एग्जिस्टिंग पॉपुलेशन से नया पॉपुलेशन बनना इज नथिंग बट अ फाउंडर्स इफेक्ट. Okay. Now we're talking about natural selection. It's a process in which there's a heritable variation enabling better survival and leave more progenies. Organisms which get selected by nature will have a better chances of survivability. Always remember, nature will select only those species who are fit for survival. So अगर organism survival के लिए काफी fit है तो ही उसका chance रहता है कि अगले generation में चले जाना. Natural selection causes unequal survival and reproductive success of an individual. It is not a pure chance effect. It is a very thought through process जिसके अंदर सर्वाइवल चांसेस हर एक ऑर्गेनिज्म के इक्वल बिल्कुल नहीं होंगे. सर्वाइवल चांसेस ऑर्गेनिज्म के वेरी करेंगे उनके अडेप्टेबिलिटी पे. देयरफॉर नेचुरल सिलेक्शन के 3 टाइप्स आपको देखने को मिल सकते हैं. Number 1 is stabilization, second is a directional change, and the third is disruption. ठीक है. When we talk about student stabilization, इस ग्राफ को जरा नोटिस करिए. Consider a beetle population having body color of red, yellow and green. 3 कलर्स आपके पास है. The bell-shaped curve shows the number of beetles having respective body colors. In this population, few beetles are of red and few beetles are of green. Maximum population is of yellow color beetle. Therefore, yellow color is mean character value. मतलब तीनों बीटल्स के पॉपुलेशन में, ओरिजिनल पॉपुलेशन में आपको सबसे ज्यादा येलो कलर के चांसेस दिखते हैं. Imagine the region where the beetles lived had a very less rain and hence the soil became dry and turned yellow in color. This makes yellow beetles less visible to predators and offers them advantage. Thus, eventually red and green beetles disappear from the population. So, कुछ कारण की वजह से अगर red and green color के beetles population से कम हुए तो graph would become much steeper. ठीक है, much pointed. Hence, natural selection eliminates red and green beetles. The peak of the bell curve gets higher and narrower. Case 2 is a directional change, जहां पे हो क्या रहा है, individuals acquire a value other than the mean character value. जो mean character value था उसके हटकर एक नया ग्राफ तैयार हो जाता है. Suppose the region where the beetles lived received lots of rain, okay, and the surrounding became lush green. काफी हरियाली हो गई. This offers green beetles a good advantage to camouflage. Because green beetles को advantage मिल गया तो green का population बढ़ गया. ग्रीन का पॉपुलेशन बढ़ने के कारण बाकी दोनों का पॉपुलेशन घट गया. तो ग्राफ थोड़ा उस तरफ शिफ्ट हुआ है, जरा नोटिस करिए. ठीक है. केस 3 इज डिसरप्शन. सपोज अ हेवी रेन caused merely plants to start flowering and bear red fruits. This creates advantage for green and red beetles to hide from the predators. तो प्लांट के पीछे कैमोफ्लेज में वो ग्रीन छुप जाएंगे, फ्रूट्स एंड फ्लावर्स में रेड छुप जाएंगे. ड्रास्टिक रिडक्शन ऑफ येलो कलर बीटल्स एंड दिस कैन एलिमिनेट द येलो कलर्ड वैरायटी. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज द डिसरप्टिव पॉपुलेशन, जहां पे आपको एक 2 पीक मिलेगा जिसमें एक सेंटर में काफी बड़ा सा क्रिवाइस रहेगा. ठीक है. सो देयरफॉर 3 अपन ने ये सब देख लिया, पांचों के पांचों कॉन्सेप्ट्स देख लिए. Now students, we're moving on to the next topic of discussion, which is the evidences of evolution. अगर evolution हुआ है या evolution में हमारा ancestor काफी common रहे हैं, तो how are these common and what are the proofs available to help us understand the ancestry lineage? Okay students, so starting with evidences. So as we all know, all the living organisms are related. Okay, all the living organisms are related. We can have plants, we can have invertebrates, we can have vertebrates, all started from a single cell. Okay, Darwinism and Lamarckism, natural selection का concept. ठीक है. An embryo of an organism is a fertilized egg and it goes through the process of development. It is very, very species specific. Study of embryos and its development is called as embryology. So we have 5 different evidences. You have embryological evidences, you have anatomical and morphological evidences, then you have paleontological evidences, and then you have biogeographical evidence, and then biochemical evidence. Now starting with embryological evidences, embryology is study and analysis of embryos. Similarities seen in embryos of different species give evidence of an evolutionary common ancestor. This is what is referred to as embryological evidence. जब सब organisms के embryo look alike है, almost similar है कैरेक्टर में, तो we can prove that हमारा जो ancestor था वो हम सब species का काफी ज्यादा common है. Notice, humans है, pig है, chicken है, fish है. Human का embryo, pig का embryo, chicken का embryo, fish का embryo, all are same. nearly same. These set of animals are so different in various aspects like appearance, nutrition, habitat, and the way they reproduce, etc. However, they all have similar beginnings. So मतलब इनका जो starting stage होता है वो most organisms के लिए same है. Indicate क्या करता है कि हमारा ancestral lineage काफी similar है. Embryos of different vertebrates appear similar due to initial stages of development, and these similarities gradually decrease as the embryo develops. All vertebrates have gill slits and tails in early stages of embryo formation. However, these features may be lost or modified in adult form. हर बार आपको गिल स्लिट होगा जरूरी नहीं, मतलब एनिमल्स में बात कर रहा हूं. ह्यूमंस में तो जरूरत ही नहीं है तो वो चला जाएगा. टेल ह्यूमंस में जरूरत नहीं, वो चला जाएगा. वैसा for example, human embryos have a tail that becomes a tailbone. Also, a row of vestigial gill slit just behind the neck is a functional organ only in fish and not found in any other adult vertebrates. कोई भी और organisms में नहीं दिखेगा, सिर्फ और सिर्फ आपको वो fishes में देखने को मिल सकता है. This pattern indicates that all the vertebrates stem from a common ancestor that developed that way and everything diverged from there. So common ancestor develop तो हो गया, but उसके बाद वहां से diversion आ गया. सारे organisms अपने अपने environmental conditions के हिसाब से adapt कर दिए. This evidence shows what Darwin had suggested. All living organisms are related. Okay, so this is how it is. Mature stage embryos कुछ ऐसे दिख रहे हैं, मिड स्टेज एम्ब्रियो कुछ ऐसे दिख रहे, तो ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर जैसा है. ठीक है. There's something called as biogenetic law which states that each embryo's developmental stage represents a adult form of an evolutionary ancestor. So जो भी stages आप देख रहे हो आप, वो आपके ancestor को resemble करते हैं. However, this proposal was disproved by Baer. He observed that embryos never pass through adult stages of other animals. बाकी animals के adult stages तक embryo कभी पहुंचते ही नहीं है. Hence, embryological evidences alone weren't strong enough to prove the link of evolution. So, embryo से mere embryo से हम ये कभी नहीं prove कर पाए कि भाई क्या हम लोग actually में similar है, क्या हमारा ancestor same था, वो हम लोग नहीं समझ पाए. Okay, then we have anatomical and morphological evidences. Anatomical and morphological evidences are based on the comparison of the forms and the structures of different organs and parts of animals and plants of different species. सबके plants के parts हो गए, animals के parts हो गए, उनको जब आप compare करते हो, that comparison is anatomical and morphological evidences. Look at it. You have 4 examples in front of you. Human, cheetah, bat and whale. Mammals are quite closely related to each other. They have same anatomy and structure with respect to their 4 limbs. 4 limbs अगर देखेंगे तो almost उनका similar है. Humans, cheetah, bat and whale. इनका आपको जो 4 limbs है, जो हाथ है, वो almost similar देखने को मिलता है. And those similar looking structures are called as homologous structures. ह्यूमन का हाथ 4 लिम्ब मल्टीपल पर्पस के लिए यूज हो सकता है. चीता कैन यूज इट फॉर रनिंग, बैट कैन यूज इट फॉर फ्लाइंग, व्हेल कैन यूज इट फॉर स्विमिंग. सिमिलर स्ट्रक्चर्स बट डिफरेंट फंक्शंस. होमोलोगस स्ट्रक्चर देखो सिमिलर है, चारों के चारों ऑर्गेनिज्म का स्ट्रक्चर काफी सिमिलर है, बट फंक्शन काफी ज्यादा अलग देखने को मिलता है. जब स्ट्रक्चर सिमिलर होता है, फंक्शन अलग होता है, तब तो उसको होमोलोगस स्ट्रक्चर बोलते हो. ठीक है. So biological structures in animals with similar pattern and similar pattern or structure in different function is called as homologous structures. Okay. Now, there is something called as divergent evolution. Different species with homologous organ suggest that they share a common ancestor and thus are a result of divergent evolution. मतलब अगर आप common ancestor share कर रहे हो और over a time आप divert हो रहे हो based on your environmental suitability, how do you face the environment, how better you adapt at it, organisms will generally diverge from one another. And if such kind of divergence is seen, it's most certainly homologous organs which could have helped these organisms to survive in conditions like that. Other examples can be cucurbita with tendrils and bougainvillea with thorns can behave as a protective mechanism or support attachment and support and all of that. Okay. You can have heart ka structure almost similar, almost they have similar heart structures. Okay, common origin hai. Okay, then you have another more example. So you have different kinds of reptilian species. You have dinosaurs and all of that. सो एनालॉगस में देखो अभी ईगल के विंग्स विच इज एवियन कैरेक्टर, बैट के विंग्स विच इज मेमेलियन कैरेक्टर, बटरफ्लाई विंग विच इज एन आर्थ्रोपोड कैरेक्टर, सेम फंक्शन है बट डिफरेंट स्ट्रक्चर्स है, तीनों का फंक्शन सेम है बट स्ट्रक्चरली काफी अलग है। स्ट्रक्चर जरा देखिए, जो हाईलाइट किया गया वो स्ट्रक्चर देखिए, वो काफी ज्यादा अलग है, काफी डिफरेंट है, ठीक है। सच कॉन्सेप्ट्स और सच स्ट्रक्चर्स आर कॉल्ड एज एनालॉगस स्ट्रक्चर्स। Now, analogous structures are biological structures which with similar function but different structure. Structure अलग है, function same है. Such organs or such structures are called as analogous structures. Okay. Analogous structures may indicate that they may or may not come from, usually they can come from a common ancestor. Analogous structures are the result of a convergent evolution. Evolution यहाँ पे converge करता है for analogous. Homologous के लिए evolution was divergent. ठीक है. Convergent evolution में you have common function of all the three organisms which is flying, but structurally they would be different. Penguin use their forelimbs for flippers for swimming. Dolphin use their forelimbs for swimming again. Shark use their fins for swimming again. Structure same रहेगा, function structure different रहेगा, function same रहेगा. Analogous में ऑक्टोपस का आंखें एंड ह्यूमंस के आंखें डिफरेंट स्ट्रक्चर है, फंक्शन सेम है, ठीक है। एनालॉगस फॉर स्वीट पोटैटो एंड पोटैटो, ठीक है। सो ऑल ऑफ दीज यू कैन हैव अ ग्लैंस ओवर. Then next we have something called as vestigial organs. Vestigial organs are nothing but those who have lost the ability to function because we are no more using it. बिकॉज हम लोग उसको यूज ही नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो इसके वजह से हमारा अबिलिटी उसको यूज करने का खत्म, तो ओवर अ टाइम वो ऑर्गन्स धीरे धीरे नॉन फंक्शनल हो गए हैं. सच ऑर्गन्स विच डू नॉट हैव फंक्शन टुडे आर वेस्टिजियल ऑर्गन्स. ठीक है. स्ट्रक्चर्स दैट हैव लॉस्ट देयर यूज थ्रू एवोल्यूशन आर कॉल्ड एज vestigial structures. They are homologous that function normally in other species. Therefore, vestigial structures can be considered as an evidence of evolution. They provide evidence for evolution because they suggest that organism changed from using the structure to not using a structure or using it for a different purpose. एक तो यूज कर रहा था फिर वो बंद करा, या फिर यूज कर रहा तो कोई और पर्पस के लिए यूज कर रहा है, जो कि आपको ये इंडिकेट करेगा कि अगर वही सेम स्ट्रक्चर कोई और एनिमल या कोई और स्पीशीज में अगर फंक्शनल है, इसका मतलब ये है कि वो ऑर्गेनिज्म और ये ऑर्गेनिज्म का एंसेस्टर कॉमन हो सकता है. समझ में आ रहा है. ह्यूमंस में यू हैव अ निक्टिटेटिंग मेम्ब्रेन व्हिच इज यूज्ड एज अ वाइपर फॉर क्लीनिंग द आईज व्हेन द ऑर्गेनिज्म इज इन वाटर. नो मोर वी यूज इट. Then we have coccyx, which is tailbone, and then you have appendix, which was used for digestion of the complex carbohydrates and raw carbohydrates, but today it is of no use to us. ठीक है. Other vestigial organs you can have nictitating, मैंने बताया, tail बता दिया, appendix बता दिया, something like this, or it can be a third nipple or excess body hair, appearance of tail. All of these, अगर वो characters appear हो जाते हैं, अगर वो characters आपको दिखते हैं, then it is called as atavism. ठीक है. Next is paleontological evidences, which is in general fossils. So fossils are remains of or the traces of hard parts of ancient life forms found in the rocks preserved in the Earth's crust. Earth के layers में दफन हो गया, Earth के layer में वो अंदर चला गया और वो preserve हो गया, और उसी को हम लोग बोलते हैं fossils. Okay. Now fossils can be of different types. Skeleton of long dead organisms just as they are. It can be an impression, or it can be an organism that haven't decayed, और फॉसिल फॉर्म फ्रॉम ऑफ रॉक्स. तो मल्टीपल टाइप के एग्जाम्पल्स हो सकते हैं. धीरे धीरे धीरे, जिस फॉर एग्जाम्पल ओवर अ टाइम नाउ ये ऐसा डेथ ऑफ एन ऑर्गेनिज्म एट अ सर्टेन एरा, कुछ एरा में वो डेथ हुआ. इट इज कवर्ड बाय अ सेडिमेंट. ओके. आफ्टर द बॉडी गेट्स डिकम्पोज्ड, मोर लेयर एंड मोर सेडिमेंट्स आर डिपॉजिटेड. इट ऑल्सो कॉजेस skeleton to either form impressions on the rock layer or mineralize. एक तो मिनरलाइज हो सकता है या फिर रॉक पे इंप्रेशन बना देगा. The sediments which become rock layers start exerting pressure on the skeleton. This process actually causes fossilization. जब एक लेयर पे दूसरा, दूसरे पे तीसरा ऐसा होते जाएगा, तो बड़ा सा एक बड़ा impression बन जाएगा वहां पे due to the pressure which is given by that layer to that particular skeleton or the fossil. Something like this. ठीक है. ये कुछ इस तरीके से प्रोग्रेस हो रहा है. तो older fossils will be way below, okay, and newer fossils will be on the surface. फॉसिल record अगर आप देखेंगे तो फॉसिल record is the ordered sequence in which fossils are found in different layers of the rock. It shows progression of evolution across different periods. So you can have like very present to you go down different kinds of eras, and you'll understand that fossils are present on each and every layer. Okay? Why is it significant? Because it gives clue for an organism to be a long extinct organism. कब extinct हुआ है समझेगा भाई. Shows intermediate forms of species as they underwent speciation. तो speciation जब हुआ, नए species बने, तो बीच में connecting link क्या था, connecting organism क्या था, वो आपको समझने को मिल सकता है. By comparing fossils of different species, scientists figure out which species are related to which. So organism का relationship भी आपको यहाँ से पता चल सकता है. ठीक है. ठीक है. So there can be some examples which like are not very much in your board textbook, so I'm not covering it up. But connecting link जान लेते हैं. Organism who shares the common features of two different groups of organism. Best example is duck-billed platypus, shares the common characteristics between reptiles and mammals. Reptiles जैसा eggs को ले करते हैं, and mammal जैसा mammary gland होता है. So both the features can be there. Evidences में अपन ने देख लिया, embryological evidence देख लिया, एनाटॉमिकल एंड मॉर्फोलॉजिकल एविडेंस देख लिया. दोनों में डिफरेंस समझा अपन ने. होमोलोगस में स्ट्रक्चर सेम है, फंक्शन डिफरेंट है. एनालॉगस में फंक्शन सेम है, स्ट्रक्चर डिफरेंट है. होमोलोगस स्ट्रक्चर्स शो अ कॉमन ओरिजिन, एनालॉगस स्ट्रक्चर शो डिफरेंट ओरिजिन. होमोलोगस स्ट्रक्चर्स रिजल्ट इन डाइवर्जेंट एवोल्यूशन, एनालॉगस स्ट्रक्चर्स रिजल्ट इन कन्वर्जेंट एवोल्यूशन. ठीक है. पैलियोंटोलॉजिकल एविडेंसेस, एंड वी आर डन विद दैट. Moving on to the next concept of adaptive radiation or the branching descent. Branching descent तो मैंने तुमको डिस्कस किया था कि कहाँ से स्पीशीज टूटता है. And over a billion years of natural selection, we have got to know that evolution is it's a very good form of a diversion. No, ओरिजिन एक जगह से स्टार्ट हो, स्प्लिट होते 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 तीन मेजर डोमेन्स बने, बैक्टीरिया, आर्किया, यूकैरिया. सो मल्टीपल अलग अलग डिविजन्स बन गए, वहां से लाइफ ओरिजिनेट होते गया. एविडेंसेस ऑफ एवोल्यूशन भी अपन ने समझ लिया. डू यू नो व्हाट इज हीमोग्लोबिन? हीमोग्लोबिन अपन ने इधर कवर किया है ब्रीदिंग अपना, इसमें रेस्पिरेशन एंड सर्कुलेशन में. ठीक है. वहां पे अपन ने जानने का कोशिश किया था हीमोग्लोबिन इज it's a tetra structure, it's a quaternary structure having 4 subunits, 2 alpha and 2 beta, responsible for carrying off oxygen and CO2. On comparison of hemoglobins, we'll realize that chimpanzee and humans के hemoglobin में कोई फर्क नहीं है. They have the close common ancestor, सबसे नजदीक है human के. Then gorilla and humans have a 4 amino acid difference in hemoglobin. सिर्फ 4 amino acid का difference है. They're much farther common ancestor, they're less closely, but yes, they do share the similarity. तो एंसेस्टर में सबसे क्लोज अपने चिंपैंजी आता है, थोड़ा दूर गोरिल्ला आता है. ठीक है. सेंट्रल डॉगमा जो कि आपको ऑलरेडी पता है फ्रॉम मॉलिक्यूलर बेसिस, वी हैव डीएनए transcribes to form RNA, translates to form proteins, but RNA can be reverse transcribed to also form cDNA. The process is called as reverse transcription. Students, तो ये आपको ऑलरेडी पता है. डीएनए के सीक्वेंसेस को एनालिसिस करेंगे तो आपको रियलाइज होगा चिंपैंजी एंड ह्यूमंस में 1.2% डिफरेंस है सिर्फ. गोरिल्ला एंड ह्यूमन में 1.6% डिफरेंस है. ठीक है. बायोजियोग्राफिकल एविडेंसेस में वी टॉक्ड अबाउट डार्विन्स फिंचेस. डार्विन्स फिंचेस में अपन ने देखा ना वो बीक का structures very different. ठीक है. Now Darwin had different kinds of finches which were the types of birds जो कि उसको एक गैलापागोस आइलैंड में मिले थे. ठीक है. तो बेस्ड ऑन द ईटिंग हैबिट्स उनका बीक का जो स्ट्रक्चर था, वो जो शेप था, वो चेंज होते गया. जैसे ऐसे कुछ थे जो कैक्टस ईटिंग थे तो उनका बीक का शेप कुछ ऐसा था. फ्रूट ईटिंग थे तो काफी दूर थोड़ा पॉइंटेड था. सीड ईटिंग थे तो कुछ ऐसा था. इंसेक्ट ईटिंग थे तो और ज्यादा स्टीप था. तो मतलब आप कौन से हिसाब से क्या खा रहे हो उसके हिसाब से एवोल्यूशन होते हुए दिखा. द ओरिजिनल एंसेस्ट्रल मेनलैंड फिंचेस एट ओनली सीड्स. तो ओरिजिनल जो स्पीशीज था वो सिर्फ बीज खाता था. ठीक है. बट द गैलापागोस फिंचेस एक्सपैंडेड द डाइट बियॉन्ड सीड्स. बीज खाने से ऊपर और भी बहुत सारी चीजें वो खाने लगे जिसके कारण एवोल्यूशन हो उनके बीक में. This evolution of Darwin's finches is an example of adaptive radiation. Adaptation हुआ, adaptation changes हो गए, इसकी वजह से आपको वहां पे देखने को मिला. Mammals can be 3 different types. ये भी आपको पता है. Egg laying mammals हो सकते हैं, marsupial, poached हो सकते हैं, placental हो सकते हैं. Another example of biogeographical evidence is distribution of marsupials or the pouched mammals in the world. When the continents were all mashed up together, they were called placental mammal ancestors as well as marsupial, both were there. However, marsupial ancestors were present mostly in the landmass that went on to become Australia, and more importantly there were no placental mammals in the landmass at all. तो मतलब landmass में जहाँ पे marsupials थे, जहाँ पे मार्सुपियल्स है वहां पर आपको कोई और मैमल, प्लेसेंटल मैमल देखने को नहीं मिले. लुक एट द मैप, ग्रीन कलर है मार्सुपियल्स, वहां पे कोई और आपको प्लेसेंटल मैमल देखने को नहीं मिला, बट प्लेसेंटल मैमल बाकी पूरे एरिया में आपको देखने को मिला. Marsupial ancestors eventually evolved to form different kinds of marsupials in Australia. Different kinds of species आपको उसी से देखने को मिले. For example, it can be mole or in general placental mammals versus Australia में it's a marsupial mole. Then you have placental में anteater, you have marsupial में numbat. Then you have placental में lemurs. Then you have marsupials में spotted cuscus. Then placental में flying squirrel. Then you have in marsupial flying phalanger. Placentals में bobcat. Then in marsupials it's Tasmanian tiger. Then you have wolf in placenta, placental species, and then you have Tasmanian wolf in marsupial species. So convergent evolution, we talked about it, independent evolution of two different groups resulting in similar structure, which is very, very unique to them. So common ancestor रहा होगा, Australian marsupials, resemble in structure, lead to similar lives, live in similar habitat. उधर से कोई और ancestor रहेगा जिसके भी same feature होंगे, तो eventually it got converged. So it's an example of a convergent evolution. कॉमन एंसेस्टर्स, ओरिजिन ऑफ लाइफ, जहां पे आप 3 डोमेन्स देखते हो, डार्विन फिंचेस के बारे में बात किया, एडेप्टिव रेडिएशन के बारे में बात किया. सो स्टूडेंट, स्टार्टिंग विद इट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द जियोलॉजिकल एरिया, एराज, डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ एराज व्हिच वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक इन शॉर्ट बिकॉज इधर डिटेल में है, बट वी आर नॉट कवरिंग इन डिटेल्स बिकॉज दे आर नॉट इन द सिलेबस ऑफ द प्राइमरी section of the section of your book or the textbook. So around 4 billion years ago, the earth was said to be in the form of a primordial soup. That is, earth consisted of aqueous solution of rich organic compounds. Around 2 billion years ago, earth eventually cooled down. Archaebacteria was the first living organisms we have seen on the earth. तो Archaebacteria सबसे पहले species थे जो आपको earth पे दिखे, ठीक है. Some of these free living cells have an ability to release O2 similar to the light reaction in the photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, water is split with the help of solar energy captured and channelized by appropriate light harvesting pigments. ये photosynthesis है जहाँ पे photon या light energy harvest करके finally फिर NADH and वो सब बनता है. Hence, cyanobacteria became the first photosynthesizing organisms. ठीक है. So visible life on earth has been divided into 3 broad categories. It can be Paleozoic era, it can be Mesozoic era, and it can be a Cenozoic era. ठीक है. So we have Paleozoic era जहाँ पे बहुत ही primitive organisms थे, बहुत ही primitive organisms थे. Development was not so much. Paleozoic era is divided into 4 major geological periods, like one Silurian period, then you have Devonian period, then Carboniferous, and then Permian. Just remember the names, do not go in numbers, okay? Silurian, again, initial starting phase of the Paleozoic era, not much development over a period of time. Took it up to first marine species followed by land species. Plant life में भी development आपको देखने को मिलता था. फिर धीरे धीरे plants का भी complexity बढ़ते गया, ठीक है. Then you had mass extinction. The end of the Paleozoic era around 250 million years ago was marked by largest mass extinction known to the mankind that wiped out almost 80% of the marine life that existed on the planet at the time. This event also marked the beginning of the Mesozoic era. Mesozoic era is like around 250 million years ago. ठीक है. So इसके अंदर 3 वापस periods आपको देखने को मिलते हैं. Triassic है, Jurassic है, Cretaceous है. Triassic, again Thecodont, धीरे धीरे dinosaurs का development, then over a period of time Jurassic period. Jurassic में you have different kinds of species in terms of plants, animals, and all of that. So these things are not there in a syllabus in detail, so I'm not covering it up. Mesozoic mass extinction. The end of this era was marked by mass extinction around 65 million years ago, which resulted in disappearance of dinosaurs from the surface of the earth. True reason behind it is unknown. Some say it was a meteorite strike and all of that, but it's not really very, very clear. Some studies show that climate changes killed them. Most of them evolved into birds. Small sized reptiles of that era still exist today. Okay, then we talk about Cenozoic, which is the age of mammals, which is a present day. Okay, in eventually development of very simple mammals to being more complex in terms of rise of humans. Also, humans were also be able to evolve during this period. Multiple animals also, reptiles का count धीरे धीरे कम हुआ, mammals का count बढ़ते गया. Angiosperms जो कि complex plants है, उनका भी development बढ़ते गया. So look at it, squeeze it up, you'll find all of these things together. Not really recommended to know all of these things, so I'm not also pressing it too much. ठीक है? ह्यूमन एवोल्यूशन कैसे हुआ, बहुत सिग्निफिकेंट है भाई, बहुत सिग्निफिकेंट है. ह्यूमन हैड एंसेस्टर्स, द ग्रेट एप व्हिच इंक्लूडेड इन गोरिल्ला, चिंपैंजी, जिबॉन्स एंड ओरंगुटैन्स. दीस आर ग्रेट एप्स जो ह्यूमन से रिलेटेड थे. ठीक है. सो मंकीज थे, मंकीज से फिर इवॉल्व करते 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 ह्यूमंस बने. क्लोज रिलेटिव चिंपैंजी है, फिर देन यू कैन सी गोरिल्ला है, देन ओरंगुटैन है, देन जिबॉन है, ऐसा. ओके. सबसे पहला was Dryopithecus. Dryopithecus was an ape-like organism and has body covered with hair. They walked like gorilla and chimpanzee, therefore they are called as knuckle walker. Knuckle मतलब ये ऐसा हड्डियों पे phalanges पे चलते थे. They had large canines, but most of their diet consisted of fruits and leaves. Leaves ही थे, fruits ही थे. They were arboreal or tree dwellers and lived on the tree tops. So ऊपर survive करते थे झाड़ के. Dryopithecus showed characters of both apes and humans. दोनों तरफ apes, gibbons, orangutan, gorilla, chimpanzee जैसे भी दिखते थे, और humans, Ramapithecus जो कि humans जैसे है. थे. Their body was covered in hair, which is Ramapithecus we're talking about. Lived in the tree tops. They had smaller canines and large molars. Molars काफी बड़े थे. I hope you know canines and molars. Okay, canines ये वाले, molars ये वाले, फिर वो सब है उसके अंदर. ठीक है, digestion में, जो कि आपके syllabus में अभी नहीं है. They had smaller canines and larger molars. The larger molars helped them in consuming nuts and seeds. चबाने के लिए help करते थे. ठीक है. A few fossils of man-like bones were found in Ethiopia and some fossils of footprints in Tanzania. But there was a gap of nearly 9 to 10 million years before these fossils were found. The fossils revealed hominid, which is human-like features, leading to the belief that about 3 to 4 million years ago, man-like primates walked in the eastern Africa. They were probably not taller than 4 feet, but walked upright. 4 feet से ज़्यादा height नहीं थी, but straight चलते थे. Something like this. ठीक है? ऐसा. Then we had Australopithecus. Australopithecus probably lived around 2 million years ago in the East African grasslands. Australopithecus with a connection or intermediate between ape and man. Ape and man के बीच में connection था. They walked on 2 hind legs. They're bipedal. Bipedal मतलब they walk on 2 legs. The Australopithecus had prominent brow ridges which were protrusions over the eye. तो brow ridges काफी ज़्यादा थे. Eyebrow वाला area काफी prominent था. It is believed that these prominent brow ridges were sign of dominance, something which set them apart from the rest of the animal kingdom. काफी unique था वो. They also had human-like teeth. Australopithecus lived in caves, though they hunted with stone tools. The diet consisted mostly of fruits. Generally fruit खाते थे. Believed to be omnivores. What is omnivores? Omnivores, carnivores, and omnivores and herbivores. They can eat both non-veg and veg. They had erect posture. Cranial capacity was 420 to 500 cubic capacity. Cranial capacity is nothing but the volume of the interior of the cranium, which is skull, of the vertebrates that possess cranium, which is skull, and a brain. Cranial volume is used to approximate the size of the brain, which is also suggestive of intelligence of an organism. जितना brain का size छोटा उतना intelligence भी कम, जितना brain का size बड़ा उतना intelligence भी ज़्यादा. The cranial capacity of other primates was around 200 cc, but Australopithecus was around 500 cc, जो कि evolution का बहुत बड़ा एक प्रमाण था, बहुत बड़ा एक proof था. Humans are considered to be intelligent animals, so this increase in cranial capacity sets us apart from all other animals. ठीक है? Now we have Homo habilis. They were first human-like species. Human-like species of hominids are members of the Hominidae family, consisting of all the modern and extinct humans and great apes. They are bipedal in terms of locomotion. They can walk on 2 legs. They have 650 to 800 cranial capacity. An increase in the cranial capacity which shows increased intelligence. Homo habilis were the first tool makers. ये सबसे पहले बार tool बनाए थे. They made tools from chipped stones. That is why they are also known as able, skillful man, tool maker or handyman. कुछ इस तरीके से वो लोग tools को बनाते थे. ठीक है? Homo erectus, erect है, existed about 1.5 million years ago. Erect posture with bipedal locomotion. Meat eaters, okay. Cranial capacity 900 cc. Made and used fire. ठीक है? Homo erectus के features कुछ ऐसे थे. Flattened skull, ridges were very prominent. Projecting jaw. Though Homo erectus had a flattened forehead, teeth which were like humans. They also had a prominent brow ridges, very prominent eyebrow ridge. Even though their teeth were small, they had projecting jaws which could produce more strength to chewing the meat. Better tools were produced and can be used for hunting purpose. So काफी अच्छे तरीके के sharper tools वो लोग बनाते थे. The fossils of the Neanderthal man were found in the Neander Valley in the Germany. They also lived in Near East and Central Asia. तो ये 3-4 लोकेशन थे जहां पे वो लोग सर्वाइव करते थे. Neanderthal man had an erect posture and bulkier body. They're very heavy built. Okay. They were omnivores, which means their diet included meat and plants. However, meat was predominant food consumed by them. It was a predominant food. They lived in caves, heated with fire, used hides and skins as clothes to protect their bodies. The Neanderthals were skilled hunters and hunted in packs. Packs मतलब ग्रुप में हंट करते थे. They even used fire to scare the animals. Animals को भगाने के लिए इतना ब्रेन उनके पास था कि वो आग लगाकर एनिमल्स को डराते थे. It was during this time that they became predators, as it would consume the animals they hunted. जो हंट करते थे उन्हीं को कंज्यूम करते थे. They also buried their dead. तो रिचुअल्स वगैरह भी स्टार्ट हुआ था. Cranial capacity for a Neanderthal man was around 1400 cc. The cranial capacity is like 1400 cc, which is almost near equivalent to a cranial capacity of humans today. Okay? It was between 75,000 to 10,000 years ago. The modern Homo sapiens arose in Africa. Then we have the Homo sapiens. They are modern humans, also called as wise men. The skull cap is raised to accommodate the larger brains. Brain का size बढ़ गया है थोड़ा सा, तो skull cap भी बड़ा हो गया है. They have a smaller teeth, non-protruding jaws, as they do not need to eat raw meat. Raw meat अपन खाते नहीं है. Homo sapiens have a very large brain, so they are called the most intelligent animals. They have 1300 to 1600 cc of the cranial capacity and made excellent tools for hunting. Ornaments, carved elephant tusk shows creative mindset, creative growth for humans. They started living in caves and creating cave paintings dating back to around 25,000 years ago. They also made excellent tools. So the modern humans left Africa with their belongings to find new ways of life. So हर एक organism इधर उधर से divert होते गया. क्रिल कैपेसिटी आप देख सकते हैं, नॉन प्रोट्रूडिंग जॉ है, दांत काफी छोटे बिकॉज हम लोग कच्चा चीज नहीं खाते. एंड देन होमो सेपियंस कैन बी कैटेगराइज्ड इनटू मंगोलॉइड, कोकोसॉइड एंड नीग्रॉइड. सो मंगोलॉइड एंड कोकेशियन जिसको बोला जाता है, देन यू हैव नीग्रॉइड्स. Okay, cave paintings by prehistoric humans are also a very significant proof that the life existed and these people used to live in caves. Okay. Humans evolved into social animals. That is why we are today, the course of which is a cultural evolution. Evolution भी काफी miraculous, काफी fantastic अपने को देखने को मिला over the course of time. That is why culturally भी evolution होते गया. ठीक है, Stone Age था, फिर animal husbandry इंसान ने चालू किया, fishing चालू किया, agriculture चालू किया, Iron Age, and then finally today that we're living in is a modern age. So we were able to walk on two legs, two-legged species, opposable thumb है, movement proper है, holding, grip वगैरह सब कुछ अपने पास है. क्रिल कैपेसिटी धीरे धीरे बढ़ते गए. होमो सेपियंस का भी 1300 से 1600 है. ठीक है. Humans and chimpanzees have a 99% identical DNA sequence. The banding patterns of humans and chimpanzees are almost identical. हर एक चीज near similar है. So there are multiple scientists who also understood evolution in a very fantastic way. And this is what we are talking about कि summary में human evolution किस तरीके से आपके पास देखने को मिलेगा. ठीक है. So that is what the chapter guys is all about talking regarding the evolution, the course of the humans. Today that we're sitting, you're looking through the screen towards the screen of the mobile phone or the laptop. I am able to deliver lectures to you. So evolution is not a very what you can say, it's not a drastic process. It's something which took time. It took billions of years for us to really come here and to be able to listen to this. So therefore it's process going on in the process. So over a period of time this thing is going to evolve further. Things will change eventually, and humans might be more advanced than what we are today. Probably we would develop things which would be more advanced than we have today. So evolution is a never-ending process. As long as you survive on this planet alongside you will also evolve, because every organism that you see today is a result of a cohabitation, and cohabitation is one of the fantastic things to really ponder upon. This finishes with the beautiful chapter of origin and evolution of life, students. I hope आपको ये समझा होगा. Please watch the previous modules. Ask doubts if any. If you like the effort that we're putting in, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm very sure that the content that we're putting out is really helping you, from the views, from the impressions and the feedbacks that we're getting. I'm very sure it's kind of likable. Go through all the playlists that we have on our channel. Go through different kinds of subjects that you have doubt, chapters that you are stuck at. I'm excellent. I'm very confident and excellent about it that you will be liking it. So students, let's finish it up with this chapter. I'll meet you in the next chapter with a very new interesting one related to some plant botany. And I'll see you in the next class, students. Till then, take care and stay safe, and bye-bye.